It took us over 2 years to find a location. We went to all these different practices and the goodwill was extortionate. And in the end, I had to make a decision. Instead of paying the goodwill, you open a squat practice. Welcome to our lounge. It's a large, spacious area for our patients. The whole building is designed in curves because it's a rectangular building. Milton Keynes is unlike any other city. It has lots of, roundabouts. It's based on this kind of American grid system. So then we found this business park here, and not many dental practices are actually operating in a business park. And what we loved here was there was tons of car parking. Believe it or not, the key question that's come up in my career when people are coming to see me is not how qualified I am or my team or other things. Have you got car parking? And that was the one thing we had. Of course, we're a corner unit and we have a lake next door. This is unheard of, to have a huge park and you have a lake with ducks and things, walking past the practice. So for me, as soon as we saw this building, we knew it was the place. So when I opened a squat practice, budget is always very tight. You are using your savings and you're using a loan, to make your dream work. Everything's on the line here. This is not a joke. This is your livelihood, and you could end up, bankrupt if you make mistakes. So every penny counted here, which means I was obsessed with quality. Any purchase I was going to make, it had to be robust. It had to have longevity. It had to survive, through daily use and wear and tear. So that made me look at a number of suppliers, a number of manufacturers. Again, all the research comes into this. All the years of research I did, this practice is now the culmination of that. And that led me to look at Stern Weber. I've never seen a chair, built, this robustly. This is my original chair that is 15 years old and has never failed me. But now, when you have one chair in the building, you can't afford for any mistakes. In fact, you can't even afford to be shut down for a few days. Everything better work. So I made all the right decisions, and today I'm still right about it. I wouldn't change a thing. I've got my Stern Weber chair. I've got plenty of space. I have a small consultation area here where I can talk to the patient. Ample space here for all of my clinical work, screens. And of course, this is my wall of fame. This is a 30-year journey into my career. And I've done things that, no other orthodontist has actually done. I'm actually triple board certified. There's only a handful of people in the world that have pulled that off. So this is the real deal. I'm the Mike Tyson of orthodontics. So how it worked with my relationship with RPA is that basically this chair, which is my baby, which has generated us millions of pounds over a period of time, in one chair, it obviously needs regular servicing. It needs looking after. My team look after this chair and we get it serviced regularly. The main distributors of Stern Weber is actually RPA. I then met one particular person via social media called Pete Higson, and we hit it off on the phone, and our relationship has just developed over time. So he's a close friend now. This is one of Pete Higson's crazy ideas.
Oh, hang on a minute, not that crazy. You're not that crazy. No.
He's come up with a cleaning cupboard. We had problems with storage, buckets, mops, and all the things that practices don't normally think about when you're designing it. And of course, he had this vision where we're using every inch of space available, so my team could just put things away at the end of the day. We had to grow this business brick by brick, penny by penny. And there came a point where we were ready for expansion. It was going to be another Stern Weber chair. Why? Because I've tested this chair for over 20,000 hours. It has really worked its socks off, and it still works. So it was a natural evolution. We wanted another Sternweber chair. I wasn't going to switch brands, and we were ready for growth. Here is our latest addition. We have this new Sternweber chair here, and this chair is an absolute game changer because not only is it a floating chair, it also has the knee breaker. So that means that in this room, we've got a lot more space. Otherwise, it would be quite hard to maneuver. The other key thing about this chair as well is I can sit here and the chair rotates. So I'm actually having the consultation with the patient, and then as soon as I'm ready to work, it will rotate back again and then obviously lie flat. And this room, every inch of this room has been calculated. We have a 65-inch TV there where patients can see their teeth. I obviously love my digital technology. I had this custom made. I'm probably one of the few out there that have actually got 6 screens to work from. I can look at radiographs, I can look at digital simulations, I can look at clinical notes. I've got it all here. So this was a custom built computer from IBM for my needs. We have an intraoral camera here. These cabinets are unique because they're actually Corian. These are custom made, and the carcass is actually waterproof. So we've done a lot of engineering in this room. We have splashbacks fitted on the walls. Even this surface here that we've added on is a writable wall surface. So there's a lot of tech in this room. Of course, when you're a one-chair practice also, you want the comfort knowing you've got another chair just in case anything ever happens. So the way I respond is to pressure points or pain points. The patient's journey for me is why SmileLux was created. It was to deliver high-end luxury orthodontic, to do orthodontics that other people just can't do because the skill sets are off the chart. That's where I've invested my time and my career. So for us, at the end of treatment, we have to fit retainers. The problem with some of these commercial laboratories is the turnaround time is too long, or you are spending too much on laboratory bills, or the lab work doesn't turn up. You name it, we had all these problems. And one day I just flipped. Not only are we going to open a second surgery, we're going to open a digital lab. I know it looks a bit messy to me, but it's a working lab. So it's not the lab 2 years ago where we wanted to fabricate in-house retainers, in-office aligners, whitening trays, quicker than anybody else. And we can do that within 24 hours. The beauty of this lab is that every inch of this room has been used. We've got state-of-the-art dental art, polo range, powder-coated steel cabinetry everywhere, super robust. Corian worktops, 2 screens that link up where you can actually bounce from one screen to the other. My Sprint Ray 3D printing system, where we'll have our printer, we'll have the wash, and then we'll also have the curing machine in here as well. So we have a workflow. You work on the software, you print, you then process. It then goes to our pressure forming machine and our compressor where we can manufacture aligners or retainers. We have a sandblaster here as well because we do 3D metal printed appliances. And of course, the work here is all trimmed and polished. And then we have this storage system where the lab work is collected and then delivered downstairs. So we have everything in this room. We even have a sink basin here with, again, dental art accessories, so you can wash your hands, you can wear gloves. In fact, the lab in this building upstairs, we can do a simulation of a patient's predicted set of teeth here, and within 1 hour, we'll have that 3D printed in your hands. The patient can look at it, they can take it home. We do that here routinely now. These habits have become automatic. And our service has gone up another notch. The retainers could be made on the same day or they could be made the next day, and my team do that. So when they're not with a patient, they're in our digital laboratory, and we can make whitening trays, we can make retainers, we can 3D print models, and there's more we can do. It's all about attention to detail. Every bit of space in a dental practice counts. And some practices have actually underutilized their space. What I did was, in the digital laboratory, the room before, it was a staff changing room. Staff changing rooms don't bring in any income. They're simply used in the morning, they're simply used at the end of the day. And then I thought, okay, I want my own digital laboratory. And how am I going to create a workflow? And the way it's been designed is basically, we have a computer, we have software, we can move teeth around. We then have our software connected to a 3D printer, which can also then wash and cure the models. That then leads to a pressure forming unit where we can then make retainers. That then leads to a workbench. So within a small space, you can have 2 people working. I calculated every millimetre of that room. How much space is there for the chair to move you backwards and forwards? Can I get a number of monitors on? We have 2 monitors to stare at when you're using software. We have another monitor on the screen as well, where you can actually magnify everything. We have splashbacks all over the walls, so no painting, no decorating is ever required, because you have toughened glass around the side. So when I look at something, I literally tear it apart and I dissect it and I rebuild it again. As an engineer, which is how I really think, I take things to that level. It might be extreme by some standards, it might be OCD. That's the way I've always been. That's what always gives me the edge. It's all about where you perceive yourself in life. Are you content in being average and mediocre? That was never for me. It was always to be at the top of the pyramid, and you can always push. How do you get continual growth? You invest in yourself, you invest in your team, you invest in your infrastructure. So for me, it was important to be the very best I could ever be. There's no point being mediocre. There were too many players out there at that level of the game. You want to be as sharp as possible. You want to be on top of your game. So I travel all over the world, looking for information to enhance my skills. And over a 25 year period, I've just climbed and climbed and climbed. I am extremely particular about who I work with. I always have been and always will be. There's 2 things I look for in every human being I meet, and I scan them within seconds. And that is, are they professional and are they kind? If they're missing either one of those 2 ingredients, no transaction will occur. And when I work with suppliers, for example, people like RPA, who have really helped us because we wouldn't be here otherwise, I'm looking at their reliability, their knowledge, how easy it is to get hold of them, communication. So far, nobody can beat them. One of the things that we had is, obviously, when you're expanding in a place like this and you're adding on new facilities, that incurs meetings. Now, I can't have meetings in the day when I have patients, because obviously, that's clinical time. And that's a premium cost. So meetings have to be done out of hours. Not everyone can do that, but RPA have always done that. And they would have meetings with me at 7:30 in the morning. Now, what was really unique in this case was Pete Higson would say, "I'll see you at 7:30 in the morning, and I'll meet you at your office." I'll get here at 7:15. He's already here before me, and he keeps doing that. Every time he keeps doing that. Plus, I can get hold of him, by text messaging and in the evening. And plus, for this project, which was really important to me because it was a substantial investment, I'd even have meetings with him at the weekend. Now, who's going to do that for you? It's those key things that you should be looking at. When you're partnering up with people, you want to work with the very best, not the cheapest. You get what you pay for in this life. This is our purple staircase, custom made for us out of toughened glass. I have no maintenance and it's scratch resistant. We've done that all over the building, so the place always looks pristine, even though we're 15 years old. So what we love about working with RPA, because obviously relationships have grown over time and they've just got stronger and stronger, is that the engineers are brilliant. We've got Jamie who's helped us, we've got Tony, we've got Mark, and really in the end you're dealing with extended family. That's what this all comes down to. Key relationships that are going to last for decades, not a short-term relationship. I don't believe in that. It's far more profitable to have a long-term relationship. And these guys come here and we have a laugh, we catch up, we put the kettle on. And what they've always said to me, they've always been very complimentary. And what they say is that when we come here as engineers, it's actually quite pleasurable working here because you've got everything neat and tidy, and everything's easily accessible. You've got the cups of tea, coming and you're flowing there. You look after us. We actually enjoy coming here. And if I were an engineer and I put myself in their shoes, would I want to walk into a really grotty or unkempt dental practice where equipment is never serviced? There's no fun. It's a miserable task. Of course not. So you get out what you put in. And in fact, we're so over the top here that before the boys turn up, we'll actually wipe everything down even more than we normally do. Wipe the compressor, wipe the suction. So they keep thinking, well, have you replaced this? Is it new? Of course it's not new. It's the same thing you serviced last year. But I really believe in the team being trained to look after your equipment, because if you look after your equipment, it looks after you. That's how I was raised. That's how I was taught. If you treat it with disrespect, you'll soon find out what happens when something goes wrong, because time is money. Expectations have just gone up year on year since we've been here in 15 years. Speed seems to be the name of the game. Service, customer service has to be impeccable, and that's how we built this place. It is hard to push yourself every year. Because now people want things instantly. They want things tomorrow. Healthcare doesn't work like that. Healthcare takes time. When we're treating complex problems, they can take years to resolve. The key thing is it's about education. You need to educate your patients, saying, we're going to be working together with you. It's a two-way relationship. We need 100% from you, so we can give you 100%. If we think like that and operate like that, then together you can do great things, and that's how we work here. That's our philosophy. Thanks for visiting my practice, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. You're welcome back anytime.